You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
The AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's This Is How I Made It After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's This Is How I Made It After Show.
Yo, what up, AfterBuzzers? Bing is for doing, and we are doing another AfterBuzz TV After Show for This Is How I Made It, MTV, Season 1, Episode 1. Ashley Rickards and 2 Chainz. 2 Chainz, you gotta say.
2 Chainz, 2 Chainz from Hotlanta.
I'm DJ Jesse here in the AfterBuzz studio. Fortunately, Kendra Cabasel could not be here with us. I'm gonna go around the room, let you guys introduce yourselves.
Did you say fortunately, Kendra can't be?
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
That's how rumors get started.
Digging a knife in already, eh? Bloody hell!
Yeah, I thought this was the. I'm gonna have an accent just by working with you. Like,
fantastic. Lucky you, right? Maybe you can fail to get laid as well. I am Nigel McGuinness, in it to win it. Used to be a professional wrestler. Now I am somewhat of a stand-up comedian, somewhat of a documentary producer, somewhat of a magician.
A magician?
Yeah.
Oh, well, what kind of magic tricks?
Cards, for the most part. But, you know, bit of mentalism. First card you think of? Ace of Spades.
Was it?
That was it.
Spades?
That was it. You got it. It's time for him to get laid now. Let's. My name's Thomas. I work in reality TV as a freelance producer, so I don't have any magic tricks. No. But I can take some hella notes, I can tell you that.
And that's all that matters.
And it's actually chicken scratch. It's a degree, actually, from DeVry. But anyway,
chicken scratch?
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, so, I mean, let's talk about this show. You know, our dear producer, Phil, here at AfterBuzz, sent this around, and I never even heard of this show. I never knew it was coming out. I was kind of excited about it because I miss Diary. I miss, like, MTV. I don't know if you go all the way back, but remember when they used to like let you meet your favorite celebrity? I miss those shows. MTV, VH1 Behind the Music. So I'm glad that they brought something like this back.
Even Cribs, because you get to see the other side. I mean, it's a side they choose to show you, but it's a side that you wouldn't get to see normally. You can't read it in people. You're not going to see it on YouTube.
I think, yeah, the world we live in now with social media, it's no longer you want to have larger-than-life characters. You want to see behind the scenes. I've seen it with wrestling all the time. When I started out with wrestling, they would say, you've got to keep your distance from the fans, you know what I mean? If they think you're their friend, they're not going to buy tickets anymore. So you always have to keep that distance. But now, because of social media, it's the people that really feel that connection that outside of WWE are really making the most money.
It's relating to your fans and being, hey, you know what? I could be him. And
exactly. And I think watching this show, I think that's clearly what they were going for. Like, every one of these sort of, you know, pubescent, pimple squeezing nerds is going to be sitting there going, you know what? I said I was going to be an actor. I can do it too now. You know what I mean?
That is actually very true. You know, I love the editing of the show. I like, you know, the 101 and then going back and seeing, you know, pictures or videos of what they've done. Let's start with the first person, Ashley Rickards, Sarasota, Florida, everyday girl, grew up on a horse farm.
From the South.
Yeah. And then I love the reoccurring theme on all the new shows. I was bullied as a child, and I wasn't popular.
Okay, anyway, I guess I won't even discuss that because that's such a hot
I do
topic,
because
but
it's just so X Factor, because X Factor goes into this whole bullying thing, and now
but
MTV
it seems like a bandwagon everyone's jumping on, because I feel like, and maybe it's just generational, but I mean, when I'm 30, and when I was growing up, it was like everyone gets bullied, deal with it. Like everyone goes through it for some reason or another. Not that it's a good thing; it's a horrible, it's a horrible thing to go through. But now it seems like a lot of people just jump on that bandwagon because they're like, "Hey, it happened to me," and then it's like people that I think Perez Hilton has even come out and said like
he's gonna stop.
He doesn't do it, and I'm like, I feel like someone like that, and I'm calling you out, Perez. I feel like people like that it's sad they jump on that bandwagon and they do it not for the good. Like I think Ashley probably was bullied because she kind of was an inward person and stuff like that. And I validate her story, but I feel like a lot of people just kind of jump on it because it's a new claim to fame. And it's not cool to bully anymore. I mean, you can't pick on people.
Well, that TV that show called Bully Beatdown. Did you ever see that? Right?
No, I haven't. Explain that one.
So basically, there's some nerd who's getting bullied by somebody, right? And I used to be a nerd. And I used to get bullied by people all the time. And what they do is they write into MTV and they get a UFC fighter, and they basically get this bully to get into a ring with a UFC fighter, sign his life away, and then he gets his ass kicked, and everyone claps at the end and goes, "Oh, marvelous!" So it's kind of like that. But what I'd love to see with this show is maybe the people that bullied Ashley Rickards, right? She could give names and numbers and addresses. We could just send people to beat them out on the street, right?
Sweet.
They go viral on YouTube. That guy called me fat.
She would never get picked on again.
Beat the shit out of him, you know what I mean? Fantastic, right?
And that's what this show shows, is she overcame all of that. Like back to the whole bullying, like she's explaining how she did overcome it.
Right.
And it was a horrible story that she had to go through.
I mean, there are definitely some recurring themes here. That the majority of people that in their adult life are very successful, I think in adolescence aren't so much successful. And I think the ones that were, generally speaking, turn out to be complete losers.
Well, and it makes sense in the sense of it pushed her. And so, she joined a play called, well, everyone in the school had to join this play.
Opera.
Moon Maiden, and she played an eel, and she realized, this is what I'm doing.
And she didn't even want to do that at first, right? She was mentioning
everyone
that
had to.
Yeah, and she was kind of like not really against it because she had looked inward, and then there was like a teacher that just stood by her and she kind of looked up to, and the teacher recommended her pursue this dream.
It's funny when you get inspiration in life, when I was about 14 years old, decided I was going to be a professional wrestler, and it's because Rowdy Roddy Piper, you guys probably remember him, right? Back from the 80s, he did a promo on TV, and it was loosely based on Martin Luther King's Dare to Dream speech, and he pointed out the camera. I'll never forget this. He said, if there's somebody out there now that has a dream of being a professional wrestler, you can make it. Because I was 15 years old and I was on the street and I was homeless and I got into wrestling and I made it. And I really felt like he was talking to me in that moment, and that was one thing that it essentially took me down that path to waste my entire life trying to be a wrestler.
But waste because you actually did it.
I had some success at it, and that's what this documentary that I'm producing is about, trying to come to terms with that. And I think that ultimately, arguably, maybe at the end of this is what we'll see, is that it's not about, and it's a cliche, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
Exactly.
It's about realizing that in 100 years, we are all going to be worm food. You know what I mean? And all you've got is the experiences in between. And if you don't have fun, you don't enjoy your experiences in between, doesn't matter whether you get here or here, it's all for now.
Exactly. I mean, and you sit here and you say you didn't make it to where you thought it was going to go, but at the end of the day,
she never.
No shade on her. No shade on her. She's done things beyond what I've done, but she's not Angelina. There's always someone that's better.
I was going to ask you guys, what do you think? Do you think that, like, she says now, I've made it? Let's say that for some reason she couldn't act anymore, didn't want to act anymore, she would feel her life was a success, or do you think
looking at her, I think part of her would say yes, but I think part of her knows she can do more.
I mean, she says she's a workaholic, so I don't think that she's someone who. I don't get like big head or anything from this girl at all. I think she's very down to earth,
very humble,
and I think she's very looking at it like I made it in the sense of I'm working, I'm doing what I want to do, and I get paid for it.
She's also cautiously optimistic. It seems like she's very, like you said, she's like, I'm working, but she's she's not tooting her own horn yet.
If I don't do it, someone else is gonna.
Exactly, and she knows that, which I think has kept her grounded.
I mean, yeah.
What are you thinking with the smile?
I was just saying, you said you didn't get big head from her, and I was wondering if anybody did.
Where are you gonna?
On that note, call in 424-256-1729.
So speaking of One Tree Hill and how she made it, no, I'm just kidding. One Tree Hill was her biggest, was her first big gig. She was on In the Fray, How to Save a Life video.
Right.
But she said she went into audition, and then she was at El Torito, which is down the street from the audition writers' room for One Tree Hill.
Right.
And El Torito's amazing if you're ever in
Yeah.
California.
Yeah, it's a chain restaurant in Los Angeles, Southern California. It's not too bad.
No, and it's just funny. She literally is living the LA life, just going to these random places where we all go, and just auditioning. And Mark Schwann, the creator, loved her audition and hired her the next day. 2 days after that, she's flying out, and she was on this show for 8 months, and she said she was playing the same character. So she felt typecasted.
Which happens a lot in Hollywood. A ton of people, once you get into that role of being that sad, depressed character or the funny guy, like, it's very hard to get out of it.
But is that a problem?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I don't know.
It can't. I think it is. It is and isn't. I think it's something they always say is a problem. I mean, I'm not an actor, so I can't speak per se for everyone. But I would say it could be a problem in the sense, like, you're not appealing in a ton of different roles. Like, if you're Jennifer Aniston, you're going to play that role forever. And that's good. It's going to pay your bills. You're going to get a great house. It's going to work. But then maybe she's worried she's not respected by people in her craft.
So it's like I would think it's more of like a personal thing. Like, I know I can do that, so stop.
And it's a battle. It probably helps her get up in the morning and be like, I'm going to conquer this. I'm going to fight this.
Let me ask you this, as a DJ, like, now, if you made a lot of money, you had a great house or whatever else, but you weren't, you didn't have that same level of respect professionally. Like, you couldn't ask a guy on the street, like, what's your DJ name? Do you have a special
Just
DJ?
DJ Jesse.
Really?
Just, me, myself, and I.
Come up with a better one than that.
No, and this is why I do it, because I am me. I try to think like all these random names like DJ this, DJ that, and I'm like, that's corny. Like, I'm just me. I'm Jesse. Like,
DJ Jess Mopper, something like that. You know what I mean?
Mopper.
Jess Mopper. You mop the floor up with these people. Brilliant. I've got it.
Wait, so what were you gonna say? If I couldn't be respected in the industry?
Well, I'm saying there's a difference between, I think, any of the entertainment forms making a good living at it and being respected by your peers. Like, would you consider that? Like, would you be disappointed? Because if I made a ton of money as a wrestler, but everybody thought I was the shits, I'm not sure I'd really care.
Well, I don't think I would care, because obviously if I'm making money at it, someone out there cares and is enjoying what I'm doing. And at the end of the day, I don't do it really for other people. I do it because I love music and I love what I am capable of doing. Yeah. And as long as I can do that, and if I'm successful from it, that's really, for me, all that matters. There's always going to be haters out there. There's always going to be someone who just is like, well, he's using vinyl. Who does that anymore? It's like, well,
it works for you.
For me, this is what I do. I carry big things into these, there are some places I can't play because they don't let me set my certain equipment up. And it's like, well,
same thing. Like, and this is a prime example, Justin Bieber. People hate on the guy, but the guy's just laughing at the bank.
Oh, exactly.
I mean, he's living the life like.
Doesn't mean he's not talented. Different.
A lot of it's jealousy, I think, when people hate, and I think it's also the way of combating to be like as an actor, actress, or a rapper, as we'll get to later. Like, yes, I can do different roles. Just like Ludacris is an example. Like, Ludacris has shown he can act, he can show he can rap, and he's shown he can produce as well. Right. And it's like a way of saying like, hey, yeah, you can laugh, you can do this and that, but I can mop the floor with you, like Jesse Moppa.
Jesse Moppa, DJ Jesse Moppa.
All right, guys, something might just grow into fruition from today here.
I'll get you a T-shirt next week. This is brilliant.
So let's get back to Ashley.
So 8 months, she's playing the same character, and she kind of realizes that, I need to do something different. So she starts banging down different doors, and, I mean, she's been doing pretty well with it. She's on MTV's Awkward. She plays Jenna, which is a comedy, much different from One Tree Hill, right? A drama, teeny bopper show. And then she was in American Horror Story, which, it wasn't a huge role, but that was a huge TV show. And not only that, but that gets you involved with Ryan Murphy's crew, and that just can take you all over the damn place.
Well, in that work, like if working in freelance production, which and I'm sure you know similar, like in DJing, once you start working with the crew, a lot of the way things work here is you end up working with that crew. Or if you work with 2 or 3 crews, you end up working with them multiple projects because they know you and they know your work ethic. Like you said, which is probably really good for her, because if they like her and she's a really hard worker, they're going to bring her on for other things. Right. And she's talented. Like, that's the first thing. I mean, she's really talented. She got herself out here on her own. Wasn't something she initially wanted to do, which is really interesting because a lot of times, like if you're younger and watching the show, when you're a kid, you might be like, oh, I want to be a firefighter, or I want to be a DJ, and then you try it out, you're like, I'm not really good at that, and then you take that class. I don't know, it could be like horse riding or like be a welder or some random thing. or even being an actor, and you're like, oh wow, you learn you have that hidden talent, you just
Exactly.
pursue that. And that's the interesting thing about her that she showed, which you got at an early age, and you know when you saw that wrestler on TV, and he's like, hey, you guys should do this, blah blah blah, etc. Remember? Mm-hmm. And pushed you into it, and you got a career out of that. That's the neat thing about this show, is it pushes people into being like, so what am I good at? This person is living the dream, you know, the American dream, doing X, Y, and Z. What am I good at? What can I do to fulfill my potential?
Here's the big question, though. We live in a generation now, arguably for the last 10 or 15 years, where if you don't have a dream and you don't pursue your dream, it's almost impossible to not look at your life as a failure. Whereas in our parents' generation, certainly our grandparents' generation, if you were a plumber and you got married and you know your wife gave you a head like once a month and you had a couple of decent kids, your life was a success. You know what I mean? You weren't going, oh, I never played Broadway or something like that. You know what I mean? And you could argue that today we have such high expectations, and with shows like this, that everybody is going, oh.
So you're arguing against it, actually. That's a pretty good point, that maybe it's putting a little too much stress on people to...
Definitely agree with you. I think it's funny, and it goes back to what you were talking about Perez Hilton bullying. I think TMZ, I was just talking about this last night. Lindsay Lohan calls in, you know, we watch Lindsay Lohan's life, we're just like, train wreck. But when you sit there and think of it, I mean, I know Lindsay Lohan before she was Lindsay Lohan, and she was just a normal girl. Grew up in New York. Here she is crying to TMZ. TMZ gives her this platform. They're the nice guys. Oh, we give her a platform. She cries. No, you're allowing this girl who's crying. You know, and to me, it's bullying. So to what you're saying, I almost, not that this show's bullying, but I think it does. This is great because we're giving her the respect that, you know, wow, this girl went from nothing. She had a dream. She planted the seed and grew with it. But that's her journey. That's her life. Maybe your seed is you love accounting. You know, and I think that we're so oversaturated with media that it's like, whoa, I'm not performing. I'm not, you know, a rapper. I'm not this.
But we're also obsessed with success.
Right.
Oh, that's the United States. It's, you know, it's...
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's all the way to the bank.
Right, you know.
But what is success?
Well, that's your own definition, exactly. It's what for me, my dream as a kid was to be, you know, like Hulk Hogan, you know, just without the moustache and balding bits, you know.
Now, if you were the Hulk Hogan bit, but you weren't making money of it, but you had the fame, you were recognized and you were respected, would that have been enough for you?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. It wouldn't have possibly existed in a capitalist society, obviously, because success goes hand in hand with riches, for the better or for the worse. But I think like the trouble is, they're gonna have lots of like women watching this now, young girls who will, and it's great to inspire these girls, and they're all gonna come out here, and we're all gonna see them on Sunset Boulevard. You know what I mean? Trying to meet people,
living the dream.
Living a dream. You know what I mean?
El Torito.
Sunday morning, like staggering out of some awful bed sit in like the hills. Anyway, long story short, some people aren't going to make it. You know what I mean? And that's not a tragedy. It's really not a tragedy. The one thing I've learned about my dream and from my documentary, looking back on it, is it's not, you don't have an obligation to make it. The only obligation you have is to try.
Right.
You know, and because you can look at her and you can look at 2 Chainz, as we're going to do later on, and there has to be, by definition, 100, if not 1,000 more people in Hollywood who are working just as hard,
who are doing
all these same things, and are never going to make it.
Well, it goes back though, it's who knows you, not who you know, and if they can recall your name, just like working with the crews of people or groups of people, you know, if they can recall your name, that's how you get the job. It's all your connections and building that.
And I mean, it's what's funny is honestly, she searched how to be a recording artist. So in her head, she thought she was going to be a singer at first, and it turned into acting.
What a failure!
And so speaking of music, I want to give y'all a shout out for tuning in every week. And you guys watch us on YouTube, and we need your help to get us #1 on iTunes, though. So it's really simple. Just up in the search bar, just type in AFTERBUZZ. This is how I made it, and subscribe, rate, comment, and I always do this on my shows, but if you guys leave us a comment with your Twitter handle, we'll give you a shout out next week on the show. All right? Really easy, 3 minutes. So, she didn't have a career in music, but our homeboy, 2 Chainz.
2 Chainz from Hotlanta.
A.K.A. Titty Boy, A.K.A. Tawheed Epps. I gotta say,
go on.
as a DJ,
Speak your mind.
I hope I don't get like negative comments with. I never really liked Titty Boy. Let's put it like that. What are you gonna put?
He's gonna tweet that now.
Twitter now.
Tweet at
I was
Titty Boy.
never really.
DJ Jesse
I was
Moffa.
never really a fan of him. Then when he changed into 2 Chainz, I was like, okay, I get.
Why weren't you a fan of him initially?
The same reason why he said his second album,
Okay.
In Play a Circle. You know, the music was just
Whack.
no. It just I'm from the East Coast. I'm from New York, so you know the East Coast. Everyone
different
has
than
their
Southern,
different. Every region has their different cliche. You know, niche of
Different
music.
style, yeah. Southern hip hop's a lot
Ludacris
different
is somebody who can kind of branch out to different cultures. Play a Circle, not as much. I think 2 Chainz, what he's doing now, he's doing that. I think back then, but what I liked about this is I actually grew to really respect him. I know he's been around in the game for a long time. The guy's like 36, 37 years old. So I definitely have a lot of respect. I mean, to see, grew up in the hood. I like your recap of how he grew up. What were you saying back in the day?
I forget.
Ah, damn it. It was
Grew up in that neighborhood,
in
selling
that neighborhood,
drugs.
selling that drugs.
Beat that family, so it was okay.
Living that life.
With that life, so it was okay.
He grew up a hustler, as Nicki
Saying
Minaj.
I'm racist, isn't it?
In the trap.
Get me shot.
And he
I don't
helped out his mom filling out, orders, paying electric bills. And I never knew he was really big in basketball, and almost got a scholarship to go.
Division 1 school. What does that mean?
That's
is that the top?
the
Yeah.
top, like
Oh, it
the
is?
big schools, like
okay.
University of Texas, UCLA.
So you have to
University
correct
of
me.
California,
I'm
Berkeley.
from England. England, and you can't go to the NBA before going to college. Is that right? Or can you?
You can. It's not really.
Recommend
I
it.
think that I was.
Same
Is
thing
it
with football.
LeBron James?
It's
Not
1
LeBron.
year.
I think
Is
it's
it
1
one
year,
year?
right?
Like
that you
1
can
year
get
in
out.
college, and then you can get drafted.
Right. And with football,
And honestly, I think there's one person that ever did do it. I can't remember who it was. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Maybe before they had the.
Well, back then.
Not back then. I know like recently.
Oh,
I can't think of who it was.
Mm.
But
anyway, I took you off track. I'm
yeah.
sorry. I'm an idiot.
So
Yes, yeah,
whatever.
his talent on the court and off the court. I mean, he's. But you know what? Selling the drugs, yeah, selling drugs is bad. You're breaking the law. But he's an entrepreneur, which kind of goes hand. It goes hand. No, seriously, it
That's
goes hand in hand.
positive
Like
way of looking at it.
he's an entrepreneur. He's a hustler. Selling drugs is bad. You're breaking the law. Like that's not something that we're encouraging here. But it shows that when times were tough, like. He literally stepped to the plate and said, I got to figure out a way to make some money, like feed my family. No, I'm serious. I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying it's a good way to live, but that he did that. He got out of it. He started playing basketball.
It's easy money.
Yeah,
At the
but it
end of
also got him in trouble. So
Right.
then, like, when he got in trouble and he lost his scholarship and wasn't able to go play ball, like, he had to think of something else he could do. And obviously, he wasn't going to go sell drugs and he's going to go back. He's going to go to prison. So, like, he started getting into, to music.
And I think I mean, I'm glad he found something to put himself into.
That was productive and not going to be his downfall. But that was, like, the gears turning early at age, which is kind of, like, showing, like, hard work and determination doesn't always, but a lot of times it's on your side because a lot of times it helps you get that lucky break no matter what field you're going to do, whether you're going to be a teacher, whether you're going to be, it helps you get in that school or helps you meet those people or those organizations.
And it was good. I like the fact that he, and I actually believe him. A lot of guys growing up and who do sell drugs, a lot of them do it just to have a lifestyle. It's an easy way to have a nice car, easy way to have all the jewels and things like that.
The bling bling.
And for him, the bling bling. And for him, it was just the rocks.
I just think I should sell drugs. What am I doing trying to be an actor or a stand-up comic?
All right, kids. This is...
Yeah, so anyway, but
Anyways.
yeah, so you're trying to say that it's like sometimes people do it because they don't have an option. And
Exactly.
again, we're not condoning it. It's not something that we're saying to do. We're just kind of saying, like, the guy made a mistake, but it's kind of those gears turning, like, he's like, hey, I'm going to try to help my family out. Wasn't the best decision, but at that age, it was like, hey, I got to figure some stuff out.
He took it,
turned to music.
milked it into gold. I mean, even though Play Circle was not big, I mean, I did know of them. So, I mean, their success wasn't as
Which
big.
is pretty good. They made it that far up to the
I
East
mean,
Coast, being Southern. I mean, that would be...
They clinged on to Ludacris and DDP. That's huge. Ludacris was one of the biggest rappers in that time period. So, I mean, he's traveling everywhere, and the most important part is that he's connecting.
There you
What
go.
were the names he said? Raekwon, Busta Rhymes. These are hip-hop legends that you're connecting with. And to have no one in the industry dislike you, talk bad about you, really proves that you are someone made of character.
Yeah.
And my favorite quote that he said, you know, you treat the intern like they're a boss.
Because you never know who's going to be your next boss.
Exactly. And
It's true.
that's some 50 Cent ish right there. That's some smart thinking in entrepreneur-like thinking.
Well, let me ask you this: what do you think is the difference between him in Player Circle, where it wasn't so successful, and him now? Like how much of it is the music, you know, the content, and how much is the fact that now he's, you know, friends with Lil Wayne?
So this is what I wrote at the end of my thing. The difference is your mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Ludacris is awesome, but the thing about Ludacris, if you really follow Ludacris loves Atlanta, and he really caters to it. His music is great, but it's always always the same.
Yeah.
To me, his albums are great, but it's never like we're like traveling out and like trying something different or new. It's very centered.
Unlike Jay-Z, like for example, Jay-Z will just like each album will be completely different. The beats
but,
will be different.
Not like Wayne. So as
Mhm.
soon as he went under Wayne on the I Am Music tour, he starts seeing like he said I own a studio. He's like, but I wasn't in it every day. Lil Wayne is writing constantly. I don't know if you saw the VMAs this year. Wayne is on stage listening to an iPod, accepting an award. Yeah, he's trying to sell his headphones, but at the same time, I guarantee you, he's known to just always be rapping or always have something in his head 24 hours a day. And it gives you that mentality. And Nicki Minaj kind of helped throw him out there because he was on Bees in the Trap. And it's the same mentality as Nicki Minaj. Wayne takes these artists and he says, look, just get on everyone's song, everybody. Because as soon as you get on everyone's track and you're just a feature on it, he's like, yeah, you know what I mean? You're doing it for free. You're just a quick little feature. No one's probably going to know who you are. He was like, but then they're going to start being like, oh. It's the same thing with Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj was on everybody's song, album, on all these different songs. And it was like, well, damn. Even if you don't like Nicki Minaj, you're going to listen to it because you like whoever they're attached to. It's the same thing. And so that's what I think the difference is. And not only that, but I think he has more creative control as 2 Chainz. Because if you remember, he said, what am I doing wrong? He said, I have all the dots. How do I connect them all? And I think he's doing that now. And I think Wayne kind of helped him. I think he outgrew Ludacris.
Yeah.
So it was Wayne's influence that did categorically change the actual music.
Absolutely.
Right. So if he, you know, if for whatever reason, if like there was a ghost that gave him that same inspiration and he changed his music in the same way but didn't meet Lil Wayne, wouldn't be as successful, or eventually do you think that music, if it was good enough, would have made it? What do you think?
No.
No?
I don't think that.
Because he said the song Spin It is what changed it. That's what changed everything. Because then he started getting tweeted by Kanye, Katy Perry. I mean, just people that he could...
To me, Duffel Bag Boy changed it.
Think so?
Spend It changed it for him personally, but Duffel Bag Boy was so big.
Oh, you mean for like everyone?
Yeah, and I mean that's where his connection with Lil Wayne, and he started getting the influence, and then that's when he branched out. After he was so inspired by Lil Wayne, he wrote Spend It.
Yeah.
And then the cycle just kept rolling and rolling and rolling.
So let me ask you this: like I'm not a big rap fan, I never have really been. But so as a DJ, can you explain to me, is it like an aesthetic thing, in the sense of like you hear the beats and it moves something in you, and you don't even listen to the music, you know? Like Chris Rock does that bit about skeet, skeet, skeet. You know, and the girls aren't even listening; they just love it, right? Or is there really some deeper content underneath that, where people listen to the words and go, actually, this is really touching me on a visceral level?
There's 2 different kinds of rap. And Marissa, can I ask you to find me a song real quick? It's called 2 Chainz, I Love Them Strippers. Just find that for me, and when we get to that.
Sounds like Shakespeare.
Yes. There's 2 different kinds of rappers.
Go ahead.
Okay.
One, Jay-Z. Jay-Z's going to tell you a story. Jay-Z is someone I personally am not crazy about the beats that Jay-Z puts out. They're good, but they don't like move me like, ooh, like it's just, I couldn't be I'm not in a club and I'm just like, that beat. It's more about what he does on the track. He's going to tell you a story and he makes you believe the story and the music goes with it.
Right.
Now, there are other types of rappers. Tyga is one of them. I do not think he is a lyrical genius. 2 Chainz, I'm sorry, I do not think 2 Chainz is a lyrical genius, but what he does is he has a sick beat that moves you. The beat's just retarded,
right,
in a positive way. And what he does on it, like, Yeah, I Love Them Strippers, is a song about I go to the strip club and I'm going to talk about all these hot girls.
Yeah.
Now, is that like an amazing song? No, but in the club,
The beat's great.
when I first heard it, I was like, this is not really a song.
But isn't that the difference how hip hop started? Like East Coast was more lyrical and West Coast was more beat.
Oh, is that right?
And that's what was it just developed separately, and it developed in New York, and it developed in New York, and then also started going in LA, and LA became more beat based. So here's your song.
And so this is the song. He's not really rapping about anything deep. But this is what's in the clubs right now. It just has that beat.
It gets you moving. Once you get another drink, get on the dance floor and go.
And not only that, has the girls shaking their butts. It has it's a mood. It's a lifestyle. It's a.
You really could though take out "Yeah, I Love the Strippers" and put like "Yeah, I Love Grocery Shopping," and it would make no difference really. Right? Or
it
not?
would be more parody if you were to do something like that.
Right, yeah. I mean,
But you're saying that, yeah, the lyrics just, it don't matter. It's the beat.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because if you look back in the history of music, I mean, there's been plenty of songs like the Bee Gees, for example. I love the Bee Gees, but do you really know what those songs are about? Not really, you know?
It was about staying alive.
Yeah.
But you know, an example of that. Honestly, here's an example where it mostly is about the beat. We watch YouTube, right? There's this one clip on YouTube where it's this woman and she talks about, Lord Jesus, there was a fire. I don't know if you guys have seen that one. She's like, I smelled smoke. I went downstairs and I got me a cold pop. And she's talking to the news, and you're just laughing at it because she's a funny woman talking about cold pops and fires and things like that. So then someone takes it, and then they make a music video out of it. And it was and when
like
I tell
the guy
you, like,
from Alabama,
the music is the song. I love the song. It's a remix of her, but it essentially is what these guys are doing.
Do you think?
Go ahead, sorry.
No, please.
Because you know, at the same time, like I would look at it as 2 Chainz. Like, he's capitalizing on his beat. Like he knows he does a good beat, so like it doesn't matter what he's gonna say, because lyrically, that's not his strength. Like no, but I'm being honest. Like that's just that maybe he actually knows it isn't his strength, and he's actually just.
Why is he calling himself 2 Chainz? Do you know that?
Because he doesn't have 3, unless 2.
I'm actually not. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's because he always wears 2 chains. If that's why it started with that, I don't. I'm not really sure.
Do we have callers on this show? Can people call in and tell us why?
424-256-1729. If you're a 2 Chainz fan, please call in right now.
Let us know why it's 2 Chainz.
And I'm not saying his. Okay, let's just clear this up before we get hated.
Go ahead.
Not that he is not lyrically good. That 2 Chainz is not lyrically good. I think he's a great rapper. However, comparing him to Nas, Jay-Z, lyrically, doesn't fall in that category. His flow, his swag, rap is all about swag. How you say something on a beat. Nicki Minaj is the perfect example. Saying literally in her rap said, "Twinkle twinkle little star." We're rapping about that now. Okay. But it works because the way she says it, she does her little, voice things, and it works for the songs. It's never been done before. It's unique. It's crazy. It's creative. It's innovative. Rap is always about the next thing. What's going to be next? What's going to be hot? How's my swag different from your swag? And once you find that, you capitalize off it. And 2 Chainz now has a flow, has a swag that he's just running with. Tyga's the same exact way with what he's got. A lot of Tyga songs literally could just flow right into each other, but it works. So
well, another thing too is like if you look at hip hop, it emerged at the beginning, and again we were talking East Coast and West Coast. West Coast was more beat based, and East Coast was more lyrical. But even both, the songs were a lot deeper back before it became pop music. Like a lot of hip hop is now pop music, and when things become pop music, it not all the time, but generally becomes more simple, gets more simplified, and it gets more to appeal to a broad audience.
Right.
Whereas like Tupac initially didn't appeal to an extremely broad audience. Now he's like, everyone knows about Tupac, a lot of people listen to him, all different ages, demographic groups. But initially it wasn't about that. Now hip hop's about being played on like a top 40 station or in the club.
And I mean honestly,
and his music and 2 Chainz music does definitely appeal to a broad base.
Because what 2 Chainz now he's talking about is club music.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, if 2 Chainz probably wrote a rap about how he grew up and had to hustle and, you know, didn't make it through school, and that's not really relatable to, you know, someone in, you know, that didn't go through that. But you know what? I'm a guy. He's a guy. He thinks those girls are hot, and he's rapping about, yeah, I love them strippers. Well, I love them strippers too. And I'm out tonight, and I'm drinking, and I'm enjoying myself, and this song makes me feel like that. It's empowering, and it's that type of a bond, that type of a connection. And
where do you see him? Like, you know, we were talking about Ashley Rickards, like 2 Chainz. Like, where do we see, like, if for some reason, like, you know, if this is his last album, like, what do you think he's gonna, or what do you think his next thing's gonna be?
That's
just in the industry, like, 'cause you know the next bigger and better. I wonder what is next.
I mean, for me, I can't really say. I don't know his music that well enough, but watching this, I mean, he seems like somebody who just is gonna keep on going and going.
He seems to keep reinventing himself.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like he will change with the times and, you know, be around. Will he be Jay-Z? I doubt it. I doubt that, but I'm not gonna knock the guy. That takes something else that I don't know if, not that he doesn't have it, but I think he's kind of like Ashley Rickards was saying. I've kind of cast typed myself. I think that's what he's done recently, and make your money off of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, maybe we're gonna see a whole different side of 2 Chainz off his next album. Never know.
I think the name Titty Boy is still up for
no,
auction?
I think he's done with it. Oh, if you want Titty
I could
Boy?
take that on or not?
Yeah, definitely. He's done with that.
I'm going to get that T-shirt as well.
There you go. We just need one for you. You know, we want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. All these new shows in the fall, I'm excited about them. We have this one, Vampire Diaries, Fox New Tuesdays. I don't know if you guys have seen the Mindy Project or the New Girl. Hilarious. AfterBuzz is covering all of them, and we want you guys, as soon as you're done watching whatever your favorite TV show is, Once Upon a Time is back. As soon as you're done, just come to AfterBuzzTV.com, and we're probably here talking about it. And we want you guys to join us. We're interactive. Call in, leave us comments, join the chat room. Just be a part of it.
Yeah, give us feedback.
Simple.
We want to know. Like, we really want to know if there's something we touched on that maybe you know some more information about than we do, or you have a different opinion. Like, let us know. Tweet us. Like, my tweet is my tweet. My Twitter, you can play with my Twitter at Thomas Guy.
You can play with his Twitter.
You can play with my Twitter at Thomas Guy, TOMAS Guide, GUIDE.
Nigel, where can they play with your Twitter?
I stole that from Spicy Marty, by the way.
Sunset Boulevard. No, at McGuinness Nigel.
At the biggest Nigel?
At McGuinness Nigel.
McGuinness Nigel.
I'm DJ Jesse J. I want to thank you guys, and tune in every week. If you saw something today that you disagree with, and I know next week we're gonna have new people talk about, call in. Let's talk about 2 Chainz next week. Let's talk about Ashley. Just call us. Let us know. And we're gonna have a special guest every week. So not only are we gonna see what MTV's showing us, but we're gonna bring in somebody and let them tell you how they made it. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you guys for joining me here in the AfterBuzz TV studio. Next week, same time, same place. Peace.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.